Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. Tasliman kathiran kathira. From Mabadu, my brothers and sisters, Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a Protestant minister at the time of Hitler and strongly opposed Hitler and paid for that with his life. In his essay called Costly Grace, he says that divine grace, the fadl of Allah, is something that we must pay for. We take it for granted, we feel we are entitled to it, we don't even stop to express gratitude to the one who blessed us with it. And that is why we don't appreciate it, and so we don't benefit. We don't benefit from it as much as we can do. Now, think about it. How true are his words that speak to us today? I seek your indulgence to change the title to Valuable Grace instead of Costly Grace. And that is because for me, cost is something you pay and see as a net loss. You paid the price, but you didn't get the value that you paid for. You're not happy with the deal. On the other hand, when you pay, say, $10 for a Chinese bowl, porcelain bowl, in a thrift shop, and then get it cleaned up and discover that it is an original Ming pottery bowl of the 5th century, and Sotheby offers you $100,000 for it, do you call what you paid costly or paying a price, or do you call it a bargain and valuable? I define costly as something that is not worth the price, and valuable as something which is a bargain and worth far more than what you paid for it. Today you are here in the house of Allah. Is this a cost or a bargain? Your answer will depend on how you experience what you are getting out of it. If I offer you bumper stickers, I would rather be fishing, I would rather be golfing, I would rather be whatever, would you take them? Why or why not? Think about that. I submit to you that one of the biggest and most costly casualties in our modern lives is the opportunity to reflect. Most of us don't even know what that means or how to do it. We know that we must sit in silence and switch off our babies, our cell phones, and then what? We have lost our connection with our Creator, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we have lost ourselves. That is why the epidemic of our times is not COVID, but mental illness and depression and despair and suicide. When you are desperate and have nowhere to go, what do? I ask myself and you, what is the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala worth to us? What are we willing to pay for it? Recently, I was privy to an email from the student body of an American university to their chaplain about their commencement, stating that the invocation and benediction must be eliminated and that the name of God must not be mentioned in the commencement address. Remember, this is America with "In God We Trust" on the dollar bill and the First Amendment, which is the freedom of practicing your religion. So what happened? Why we were not looking? When I was growing up, we were warned never to use 4-letter words. Looks like it is now down to 3, G-O-D. And then it will be down to 2 and 1, me and I. That is what we are seeing now. I still feel the pain when I think of that email. I remember thinking to myself, what must Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be saying about people to whom even His name is not acceptable? These are the people whose backs are breaking under the epidemic of mental illness and stress and depression, yet who refuse the only solution that works, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, verily, in the remembrance of Allah is the peace of the qalb, is peace of mind. Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. My brothers and sisters, we talk about searching for Allah, right? We talk about searching for Allah. The great poet Allama Iqbal Rahmatullah Alayhi said, खिजर क्यों कर बताए क्या बताए अगर माही कहे दरिया कहाँ है. Why should Khizr alayhi salam, why should somebody as wise as Khizr, why should Khizr say, and what should Khizr say? If the fish were to ask, where is the water? Where is the sea? Where is the river? What can Khizr say? We search for Allah. Today we live in a world that is poised on the brink of the cliff of impending disaster. There are 5 matters which are of deep concern to me. Number 1, the rise of religious fundamentalism, which is a pan-religious phenomena, seems to be happening in every religion. 2, the rise of populism, again, seems to be worldwide. Number 3, the rise of narcissism, both in our leaders and in their electorate, the people who elect them. Number 4, the loss of values, much worse than the clash of values. And number 5, the loss of morality. Amorality is much worse than immorality. Together, this has created a society that is almost devoid of compassion and justice. When justice and compassion disappear, await the end. The solution is to connect with the one to whom is our return and to whom we must account for the life that he gave us. This is the reality, and like all realities, it doesn't depend on belief for its existence. This is the truth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمُ الْحَقِّ فَمَنْ شَاءَ اتَّخَذَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِ سَبِيلًا. That is the day of truth. Let the one who wishes make a way to his Rabb. We are approaching Ramadan. We are in the middle of Ramadan. Alhamdulillah. What is the purpose of fasting? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us about the purpose of Ramadan. And He said, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyamu kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, O you who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may become al-muttaqun. What is taqwa? Taqwa is the awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our lives, and the desire, the constant concern to please Him because we love Him the most. It is not fear of Allah, it is the fear of displeasing the one we love the most. Anyone who loves someone will do whatever it takes to ensure that their beloved is never displeased with them. The more the love, the more the fear of doing something that the beloved may not like. Such a person is not thinking minimalistically. They are not saying to themselves concerning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and their relationship with Him, let me do the least possible. Let me just tick the box to make sure that I remain in the fold. But like all great experiences, love cannot be explained. It must be felt. What does it mean to know? I don't simply mean the words, but to know as in deep in my heart that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with me. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with me, His light illuminates every corner of my heart, every corner of my being, and all darkness and all the darkness of sadness and regret and fear and despair and hatred and anger are driven out. I march through life with a smile on my face to a tune that only I can hear in my heart. Others may wonder why I look so happy when on the surface of it, they and I are in the same boat. But you know, experience cannot be explained. It must be lived and tasted and felt, because it is experience, not explanation, that changes us. It is experience, not explanation, that leaves behind memories that console and support us and illuminate the path on the cold, dark nights when we think we are alone. We must learn to live. We fast because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to do that and said that it would make us people that He loves, al-muttaqun, people of taqwa, people who love Him and are concerned about living their lives in a way that so that He will love them. What is the reward for that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us two amazing things. He said, Inna Allah ma'al ladhina taqaw wal ladhina hum muhsinun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, truly Allah is with those who have taqwa. and those who are muhsinun, people who are focused on ihsan, on excellence, who are willing to do whatever it takes to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the second thing he told us was, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَل لَّهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ وَمَن يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Allah said, and whosoever has taqwa of Allah, He, Jalla Jalaluhu, will make a way out for him from every difficulty. And He will provide him from sources that he could never imagine. And whoever puts his trust in Allah, then He will suffice him. He will become sufficient for him. But how can you love someone you don't know? I don't mean know about, I mean know. There is a difference. It may begin with knowing about, but it must grow to knowing deep in the core of our beings. It means being connected in a way that only you can understand. This is what creates the peace and confidence in the heart, which is the real cure for loneliness and depression and despair. Who is our Creator? Who is Allah? Nobody can introduce Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better than the way in which He introduced Himself. He said, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum la ta'khudhuhu sinatun wa la nawm lahu ma fi as-samawati wa ma fi al-ard man dha alladhi yashfa'u 'indahu illa bi-idhnihi ya'lamu ma bayna aydihim wa ma khalfahum wa la yuhituna bi shay'in min 'ilmihi illa bima sha'a وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. Allah said, Allah, La ilaha illahu, none has the right to be worshipped but Him, the ever-living, the established, the one who sustains and protects all that exists. Neither dozing nor sleep overcome Him. To Him belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth. Who is He? Who is it that can intercede with Him except with His permission? He knows what happens to them, all His creatures in this world, and He knows what will happen to them in the hereafter. And they will never possess anything of His knowledge except that which He wills. His kursi extends over the heavens and the earth, and He feels no fatigue and no tiredness in guarding and preserving them. And He is the Most High, the Most Great. We recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His kalam, through His word, and we recognize Him through His creation. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who created the bar-tailed godwit, a small, long-legged shorebird the size of a snipe. Guinness Book of World Records lists the longest non-stop flight of 12,200 kilometers, 7,580 miles without food, water or sleep by a satellite-tagged male godwit flying from Alaska to New Zealand. One brain hemisphere snoozes as the other remains awake and alert, and then they alternate. The eye connected to the sleeping half of the brain closes, shuts, and sleeps, and the eye connected to the wakeful hemisphere remains open. He, Jalla Jalaluhu, the glorious and magnificent, created the bar-headed goose, which breeds in Central Asia near mountain lakes, in colonies of thousands, and winters in Central and South India. For this flight, it must fly across the Himalayas at heights ranging from 21,000 to 29,000 feet, where the temperature is minus 40 Celsius or minus 70 Fahrenheit, and very little oxygen. Though winds blow in their direction of flight in the day, the birds wait until dark for the winds to die down, and then they undertake the greatest rates of climbing flight ever recorded for a bird, and sustain these climb rates for hours on end, according to research published by the National Academy of Sciences in the US in 2011. He, Jalla Jalaluhu, created the ruby-throated hummingbird, the migration route of which involves a non-stop flight over the Gulf of Mexico, approximately 500 miles or 800 kilometers. Depending on weather conditions, this journey may take between 18 to 22 hours. Considering that this hummingbird weighs as little as 3 to 4 grams, 3.4 to 3.8 grams, or just about as much as a penny, this is an amazing accomplishment. Just think about that. Who is seeing this bird when this bird is flying in the dark, starless, moonless night? The bird is flying. Who's seeing this? Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us these things? So that we understand the tafsir of the ayah, where He said, أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا إِلَى الطَّيْرِ فَوْقَهُمْ صَافَّاتٍ وَيَقْبِضْنَ مَا يُمْسِكُهُنَّ إِلَّا الرَّحْمَنُ إِنَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ بَصِيرٌ. Allah said, do they not see the birds flying overhead? Who's holding them up? Who's enabling them? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ala kulli shay'in basir. He sees every single thing. Finally, it is Allah who created Wilson Bentley, who was born in 1865 in Jericho, Vermont, and died in 1931. And he photographed snowflakes for 40 years. We just had a snowstorm, about 6 inches of snow. Think about that. Take a teaspoon of snow and try to imagine how many flakes are in that snow. Imagine all the snow in America, in the north, in Europe, in the Arctic, in the Antarctic. Every single flake is different. Wilson Bentley, for 40 years, he photographed snowflakes. He attracted world attention with his pioneering work in micrography and photographed over 5,000 snowflakes. He says, and I quote, "Under the microscope, I found that snowflakes are miracles of beauty, and it seems a shame that this beauty should not be seen and appreciated by others. Every crystal was a masterpiece of design, and no one design was ever repeated. When a snowflake melted, that design was lost forever. Just that much beauty was gone without leaving any record behind." And this is what Wilson Bentley wrote in 1925. Fasting is prescribed for us to know our Rabb and to reiterate that to connect with Him, we must first obey Him. We fast not because of any worldly benefits, though there are many, but because it is the order of our Creator, who we love more than anyone or anything else. It is this submission to His will, because we trust Him and love Him and know that whatever He commanded for us is best for us. That is taqwa. That is why we fast. The question to ask is, do we want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be with us or not? Do we need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not? Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sufficient for us or not? We have the time now. Fasting reiterates the supreme position of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our lives and underlines for us the importance of obeying Him. So let us reflect on this. We stop ourselves during Ramadan from that which is otherwise permissible, which is food and water and relations with our spouses during the hours of the fast, for no reason other than it is the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is to rejuvenate in our lives the importance of obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at all times and staying away from what He prohibited. That is because we know that whatever He permitted is good for us and what He prohibited is bad for us. We know Him, we trust Him, we love Him, and so we obey Him. Let us reflect and decide once and for all and change our lives to reflect this. Because remember, only actions yield results. Only doing counts. Not merely knowing. Knowing and not doing is proof against the slave. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu to help us to do what is pleasing to Him and to save us from that which doesn't please Him. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyil kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin.